What's good, y'all? It is Wednesday, December 17th. My name is Patrick, and you are listening to The Morning Show. Okay. All right. Only one thing that I'll be talking about today, but it is quite important. If you are here, but your first in with me was Conversation Piece earlier this year, you'll know that there has been a lot of discourse, conversation, legislation happening around public education in Indiana. Indianapolis specifically, but Indiana by extension. A lot of that conversation, at the beginning of the year, I had these conversations with a few different people, IPS Commissioner Alyssa Impink, as well as teachers and public education activists, Tina Algren and Ronak Shaw, on separate bonus episodes of Conversation Piece, bonus emergency episodes of Conversation Piece, because there was some legislation that was going through the chambers, specifically targeting IPS, Indianapolis Public Schools, in a number of ways. You can go check out those episodes. I'll link them here in the show notes if you're interested in learning or doing a deeper dive into that. But I lead with that because coming out of all of that earlier this year in Q1, came the Indianapolis Local Education Alliance, the ILEA, which was a task force created by the General Assembly to try and design a plan for how Indianapolis's public schools would share resources with charter schools, like buildings and transportation, and how to work more collaboratively to improve student outcomes. So I say design a plan. There already is a plan in place. Again, I encourage you to go check out those two conversations that I had earlier this year with people who are right in the midst of it, who laid it out much more succinctly than I will be able to in this moment. But at the end of the day, this new task force was created and is headed up by the mayor, so Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett, and includes a number of appointed leaders, two of which are public education activists, the rest of which are not. So shout out to IPS Superintendent Alicia Johnson, and shout out to Tina Algren again. Awesome person. That's why she's there. IPS parent advocate, teacher, doing it all. Anyways, why is this important right now? Well, tonight, December 17th, the ILEA is holding their final meeting to make final recommendations that they will send to the Indiana General Assembly to do with what they will. So, as I said at the beginning, tonight, what is happening here in this moment has the potential to shape how public education, not just in Indianapolis, but in Indiana at large, could be governed, funded, and delivered for the foreseeable future. And so I just wanted to really quickly talk about what the ILEA is, which I just did. I'm going to talk about three major areas of impact, and then I want to talk about the meeting happening tonight, and if you're in Indy, what we can do. So the ILEA has been meeting over the past year and has been signaling that changes are on the way. Like I said, I have been having this conversation about public education here in Indianapolis and Indiana since the beginning of 2025. My guests have been having this conversation for a long time. And if you check out those conversations, you'll know that there has been a seemingly concerted effort to diminish and dissolve the public education system here in Indianapolis. And that was made crystal clear at the beginning of this legislative session in 2025, when a number of bills were being heard in the chambers that would impact public schools. So I want to talk about three major areas of impact real quick that the ILEA are focused on and will be sending recommendations for going forward. So the first one is the board makeup itself. And so what they're trying to do is take IPS's duly elected board and combine it with the non-existent board for charter school governance. Again, I can't. I'm going to say. This is the last time I'm going to say it. Go check out those episodes with Alyssa Impink and then Tina Algren and Ronak Shaw. They get into the system and the way that charters are set up, and it is really, really effed. But essentially, there is none. That's why I said that there was this. That's why I called it non-existent, because essentially there is not a board or set of governance. But essentially, what they're trying to do is combine those two things and remove the electoral process for gaining a seat on that board and making it appointment only. So mayoral appointment only. This has a red flag for many reasons. One main one of which it is kind of like the way the ILEA board is made up, or committee is currently made up. It dilutes and significantly reduces the power that the Indianapolis Public School voice would have. And again, the IPS board, they are elected to those seats. Currently, they want to get rid of that election process and make it appointment. And so we all know how that goes. Second major area of impact is transportation. Go check out my conversation with Alyssa Impink, because that was one of the main things that we talked about. But they are, so right now, in the agreement that IPS has with some of the charter schools, is that IPS buses will bus both public school students, IPS students, and charter school students to their school of learning. So currently it's working to get kids who are going to charters to the school in the first place, specifically for families that might not have the resource or resources available to be able to drive or take their kids to school, wherever that might be. And so IPS is extending, maybe overextending itself to help bus kids to other schools that aren't necessarily within the IPS purview, but technically they are, because they have this agreement. So transportation, definitely a major one that's being looked at, because should these changes go through, it's really unclear about how that might be impacted. And then the last major area of impact that I want to talk about here is buildings. So facilities, places that the school itself, the physical place that you go. Right now, a lot of charters operate out of buildings that are owned or were once owned by IPS. I think my conversation with Wild Style Pichelle at the end of last year, or was that earlier this year? I don't remember. That conversation with Wild Style on Conversation Piece, we talked about this piece a little bit, about where schools are operating out of. And the reason this is a major area of impact is because it's unclear upon recommendations who is going to be the owner of these buildings, who is going to be managing these buildings, and who's going to be funding these buildings. And the lack of clarity around that is concerning with regards to how IPS will be maintained going forward and in the long term. So those are 3 areas of impact, major areas of impact, not the only areas. And again, the takeaway is that the thing that's at stake right now is literally public education, not just in Indianapolis, but across the state. The way public education, the fact that it even is public, is at stake right now in this meeting. This will be a very consequential meeting. So, what the heck is the meeting? So tonight, December 17th, the ILEA is meeting to make these final recommendations. They're going to be meeting at the City County Council building downtown. This is what's happening. At 5 p.m., there's going to be a press conference about all of this happening. So if you're interested, pull up on that. And then at 6 p.m., on the second floor, there's going to be the committee meeting. And part of the committee meeting is testimony from the public. You can currently still, I believe, sign up to give public comment. You can also submit public comment if you're interested in doing that. Wear red for education. And again, I can't stress enough, if you have something to say about this, now is the time to do so. And I am going to link and recommend that you check out an episode of Third Space Indie, a bonus episode that came out where the host of that show, Michael Zarek, sat down with an IPS parent, Wendy Hornsby, to talk about all of this. The Central Indiana Democratic Socialists of America, their page, Central INDSA, they've been heavily talking about this. And so they have a lot of really incredible posts that have a lot of other information about all of this, including about the Mine Trust, which I talked to Wildstyle about. Lots of stuff. So, again, tonight, December 17th, at the City County Council building, that's 200 East Washington Street. 5 p.m., there is the press conference, 6 p.m., second floor meeting. This is the opportunity to let the people know, to let our leaders know, the ILEA board know, that public education is one of the most important pillars of our society and that we won't stand idly by and let it be taken away. And so get your public comment in, get your red shirt, get your red gear on, get down to the City County Council building, and let the people know. If you're interested in learning more, go to Central INDSA on Instagram. Check out Third Space Indie's latest conversation with Wendy Hornsby, a local IPS parent. Check out my conversations on Conversation Piece with Wildstyle Pichelle, IPS Commissioner Alyssa M. Pink, and with public education advocates Tina Algren and Ronak Shaw. And yeah, this is, like I said, the stakes are high. Just like with redistricting, the stakes are high, and we've run out of time. To be quite frank, we've run out of time. There is no more time. The time is now. So, if redistricting has taught us anything, it is that our voices have impact, and that we can make changes when we stand up for what we believe in, and when we let the people that we put in positions of power know, who we put in positions of power through our electoral process, know how we really feel about stunts like this. So get on it. 200 East Washington Street, City County Council building. Fight for public education. Until tomorrow, let's get it.